Y'all know what it is. It's the Boxing Clinic and more. Your boy CJ Goodfella. You know, we do more than that boxing talk. And an interesting story came across my news feed on YouTube, man, talking about G Dep. Remember the bad boy artist out of Harlem? You know, this is a few years old, but I had never heard it before. And I heard another crazy story that I might do a video on as well, of an old 80s and 90s actor, man, that really touched my heart. Well, I might get to it tomorrow if I remember. But we know G Dep. Remember Special Delivery? I need that. You know, when Puffy was actually a real record label. And you know, I just never know what happened to this guy. You know, I know he was hot. Him, Black Rob. It was kind of after the Mace Little era. You know, he was a little bit after that. He was on the little P Diddy compilation album, and he signed a record deal for $350K. He said it was more money than I seen. He was known to be a drug dealer in Harlem. And I just thought, you know, Diddy cut him off like he, you know, ruthless and one of the most ruthless, dirty dudes in the music business. You know how he do? He use you and then he just automatically cuts you off. You know, he writes some rhymes for him and he feel like, you know, you ain't no use to him. He just cut you off. But something else was bothering G Dep, and he's now incarcerated. You know, one night before he got a record deal, you know, he robbed a guy. I think he was on his bike. He said he robbed a guy that was on his bike. He said, you know, he wanted his money and the gun. He shot him, and you know, he fled. And the police asked him, you know, did you know something about him? You know, a guy that got shot. And you know, he said that I don't know nothing. But he said that the whole time it was eating at him. You know, he had a child with another woman, and then ended up finding the woman of his dreams. You know, his love lady, whatever you want to call her. They had twins together. You know, and all that time, you know, even after signing a deal with Puffy for $350K, it affected him. You know, the police said you didn't know about the shooting. He suspected, like, all right, he's still alive. But somehow he found out that guy had died and it ate at him. You know, he said, you know, he can never be too happy. He can never be too high, no matter how good life was going. He like, man, in his head, he was like, yeah, man, what I'm smiling for, man, I killed the man or whatever happened to the guy. And every time he can never just be happy. He said, you know, things was going well with his record deal with P Diddy and Bad Boy. You know, G Dep, stand for Ghetto Dependent. You know, he said life was going good, but every time he would look at his kids and say, you know, what about that man I shot and killed? He couldn't go home to his family. Oh, he eventually found out that he killed him. He said that man couldn't go to his family. It ate at him so bad that he fell into drugs and alcoholism, and Diddy cut him off because, you know, he was slacking, he was on drugs and high, he was trying to hide the pain, and he said he couldn't live with himself no more. You know, he said he went to the police and told them what happened, and now I think he got like 20 or life in jail or something like that. I'm gonna leave the interview they did with him in prison a few years ago in the description, and that's deep though. That's deep. That this guy had a real conscience. Most guys that's in the street, you feel me? Most people who are cold hard killers, which he wasn't a cold hard killer. I don't think he admitted to killing anybody since then. He just pushed drugs, and he must have owed the plug, whatever the reason was. You know, the money, whatever it was. That he had his conscience ate at him so bad that he wasn't at peace until he turned himself in for the murder of that man. And he gave it all up. And it ate at him so bad. It ate at his conscience so bad. And then I'm going to leave that interview link in the description if I didn't say it already, so you can click on and see what happened. But, yeah, man, some people really got a conscience like that. And, you know, how many people would be man enough to turn themselves in? Or would they just let it eat at them for the rest of their life and go to their grave? And that's deep. That's very deep that this man, you know, it ate at him so bad that every time he would chill with his twins and his family, he couldn't be happy until he was at peace and he turned himself in for killing this innocent man on his bike. And, you know, I respect him, you know, G Dep. I respect him for that. In the comment section, people saying, I mean, no matter how much I couldn't turn and tell on myself and do that. And people in there like, he got a conscience. And his conscience was eating at him. And obviously, he wasn't the killer. Because he had never did it before, and it ate at him. Now, some people who serial killers, who cold hard killers, they don't care. It's like a quarterback throwing an interception. They on to the next play. They erase it out their mind. But this dude, you know, gave it all up. Gave a beautiful family up. Woman of his dreams, he explained. You know, just to get something off his heart, just to get something off his conscience. And that shows you that there's still, people with hearts out there with all these heinous acts going on, that people doing all this crazy stuff, and it seems like there's no room for the faint of hearts out there no more. You know, and this story really, really touched me. And maybe sometime tomorrow morning, I'll get into the next story that another guy, prominent actor that you all guys gonna remember, who gave it all up for a great reason and wouldn't regret it. And G Dep said he wouldn't regret it. So let me know what y'all think about this, man. Think about this dude, giving it all up just to be right with God and be right with his heart and be right with his conscience. Would you guys do it or not? We gone.